Hello, I am Janine Zagajeski. I also go by Zag because my name's a mouthful, and I am applying for the Instructional Design Associate position.
Go ahead. Can you describe your experience with instructional design, including any tools or platforms you've used?
My instructional design experience comes from creating and running my own online art school called Artists for Everyone, which I built with the whole person wellness in mind. It was a challenge creating online art instruction that people at different skill levels could use independently while bringing art and art therapy skills into their home. My task was to design a clear, supportive learning experience that worked without live explanation. I built and managed 5 complete courses and about 24 short technique courses in LearnWorlds using its course authoring tools. I chose a step-by-step structure with practice activities and simple checks for understanding because my approach is learner-centered. I also scripted, recorded, edited, and posted 400 daily art meditations using Clipchamp. That experience connects well to the Instructional Design Associate role through LMS course development, multimedia content creation, learner-centered design, and digital course revision.
How do you approach designing learning materials that meet the needs of diverse learners?
I approach diverse learners by designing for different starting points from the beginning. In my online art school, I was building instruction for people with different skill levels while keeping the school's whole person wellness focus as the primary point. My task was to create the learning materials that they could use independently while still feeling that support. Again, I did that by the step-by-step lesson, practice activities, simple checks. I wanted people to enter at their own level, build confidence, and bring art and art therapy skills without feeling overwhelmed or feeling like it's a therapy session. I also reviewed the completion indicators, engagement indicators, and feedback so I could revise as needed for clarity and usability. The final result over 3 years was 213 different students used the school. The course completion rate averaged 71%, and 37% of the students enrolled completed all of the classes and all of the mini modules. I've received many positive comments about the accessibility of the courses.
How do you incorporate feedback from learners, instructors, and stakeholders to improve course design?
In my virtual assistant work with supporting the Becoming a Best Boss training programs, the challenge was turning multi-source feedback into reports that were accurate, confidential, clear, and useful for both the student growth and course improvement. My task was to process responses from direct reports, supervisors, and peers, remove the identifying information, create the starting report, and then draft the end report to compare the results. I did that by organizing and identifying the data, then converting it into personalized reports with charts, graphs, and written summaries. For the final report, I compared both rounds of the response so the student could see the growth and the remaining concerns. I also reviewed end-of-course feedback and made changes to wording, response options, or other elements as needed along the way. The result was repeatable feedback with revision processes that supported roughly 200 students a year for 15 years. That connects well to this role because it shows I can manage stakeholder input, translate complex feedback into usable materials, and use that information to improve course-related design.
Can you describe a time when you had to quickly learn a new software or technology to complete a project? How did you approach the learning curve?
In my university time, my final honors program was a group project. I had to learn how to do AI voiceover the morning the presentation was due. The project had 3 members, and the plan was for each of us to record our own section. The presentation was due Monday at midnight, and by Sunday night, I had not received any recordings. My task was then to find a solution fast without relying on me providing all of the voiceover, because that would make it too focused on me for a group project. So I proposed adding AI voiceover instead, and then taught myself how to do it. The technology is actually pretty easy to use. The difficulty comes with pronunciation by an AI. You type in my first name, it's not going to sound like Janine. That was the big learning curve, is how to phonetically write it in such a way that the AI could say it correctly. Result: on-time presentation, full points, and a strong example of learning new tools quickly under pressure. This connects directly to this role.
How do you design interactive and engaging learning experiences, especially in an online or blended environment?
When I design online learning, I think about engagement as more than an activity. In Art is for Everyone, my task was to create digital instruction that supported both the skill building and the whole person wellness. While I included most of your standards, as we've already discussed, there was one key difference. Normally in video recordings, whether that be online or on TV, on a news broadcast, dead air is bad time. That's not necessarily true when you're discussing art. So instead of filling every second with narration, I used soft nature sounds and left space in the lesson. I chose that approach because learners need time to create, reflect, and connect emotionally with the work, not just follow directions. The result was an online experience that supported both learning and emotional regulation. One student shared that my lessons and art meditations quieted their negative thoughts and helped them center. When she would start to spiral, she went to my daily art meditations to center herself. This connects well to the role because it shows how I use multimedia intentionally, and the design is always based on how learners actually will experience the material.
Did you ever have to revise or redesign a course based on learner performance or feedback? What changes did you make?
Very early on, while building Art is for Everyone, I had to revise part of the course design based on feedback. The challenge was that although I had intentionally built accessibility into the courses, my daughter pointed out a basic issue I missed. When I demonstrate a technique with my right hand, a left-handed learner would need to do it differently. My task was to fix that so the instruction worked clearly for both-handed people. I redesigned that portion into a split screen format. One side, my daughter demonstrated with her left hand. The other, I demonstrated with my right. I chose that solution because it let learners see both versions at the same time instead of trying to mentally reverse it while trying to learn. The result was a clearer and more inclusive demonstration format. That connects well to this role because it shows I can recognize a design gap and revise instructional materials in a practical way that improves accessibility.
What is your greatest strength as an instructional designer, and how does it benefit your work?
My greatest strength as an instructional designer is that I naturally think in systems and the processes needed to support those systems. When I'm building something, I'm not just thinking about the lesson or the activity itself, I'm thinking how the pieces connect, how the learner moves through them, and where the confusion might pop up, where the support is going to be needed, and how the design can be improved and maintained over time. This benefits my work because it helps me build learning experiences that are not only clear to the moment, but also organized, scalable, and easier to revise. Whether I'm designing courses, creating supporting materials, or reviewing feedback, I'm always looking at how the full structure is working together. I think that connects well to the instructional design associate role because strong instructional design is not about making one good lesson. It's about building a learning system that works as a whole. Thank you so much for your time.